Welcome to the Sober Nation FM podcast, where we're putting recovery on the map. I'm your host, Jonathan Sylvester. This show is brought to you by Sobriety Engine. Do you want to take your recovery to the next level? Do you want more support, community, and fellowship? Sobriety Engine is an incredible community of men and women supporting each other in their recovery. You can get a ton of great tips, resources, and guidance to help you succeed in recovery and in life. Visit sobrietyengine.com to join today. Sober Nation FM is also brought to you by Recover Health. If you're ready to get fit and start living a healthier lifestyle, all while supporting your sobriety, then you can learn more about having me as your own personal fitness and nutrition coach at rcvrhealth.com. And whether you're listening to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watching on YouTube, please share this with your friends. Follow, subscribe, and leave a review. Nation, let's hop right into today's episode. Today, I'll be speaking with the star of Here Comes Honey Boo Boo and Mama June from Not to Hot, June Shannon. Thanks for coming on the show, June.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Really, really excited to speak with you and hear more about this new chapter in your life. Now, like myself, I'm sure that many of our listeners have seen and heard plenty of things being reported in the media in regards to your drug use over the years, just some of the drama going on, right? But I'd really like to hear from you directly and kind of set all that aside and hear what was going on and how you ended up getting sober. So if we could just rewind, can you tell me where your addiction started or where you feel like it started?
Like I said, I don't like to talk about all the hoopla of the media or whatever.
Sure.
In my story, never. Because that's not me. That's not who I am inside. So anyway, what started is I was always around drugs growing up. My sister and my brother-in-law sold drugs, and my sister's 8 years older than I am. She's still today addicted to pills, even after a tragic accident a few years ago. So pills have never been my thing. So I went on with that life and was around them for many, many years. 2000, I went and started getting my GED. I met a guy, just started being friends with him. The very first drug that I ever done was meth. Oh my God, I loved it. I was working 3 jobs. I was able to make more money. I was able to do more. I was able to stay up longer because honestly, when I was working 3 jobs, I was working from 4 a.m. to midnight. So I only needed a few hours sleep. Well, that went on for quite a while. And those days of staying up 17 days, 14 days, 30 days, when you're like the good Red Rock days, or, the old. So anyway, so I did that for a while and I moved away in 2004 and kind of got myself clean off of that. Went cold turkey off it, no rehab, no nothing.
Okay.
Then I fast forward to my life was great. Then I was living in South Georgia. Everything that went on, we got our show, this, that, the other. And then I moved back to my hometown, which was Hampton, back in 2014. In 2014, picked up, like I say, people play. I truly believe this nowadays. People, places, things is a true thing.
Yeah.
So I moved back to my hometown, got hooked up with the same people. Guess what I started doing? Started doing meth again. That shit was shitty this time, but hey, it was like whatever. It was my only drug that I've really ever done at that point. And then I met my boyfriend in the end of 2015. He's like, look, baby, if you want to get to know me, you got to quit all that. I gave away actually 56 grams of meth that morning, the next morning, and didn't think twice about it. I went cold turkey then. Well, about a year or so later, life happens. Before that, back up a little bit. I'm all over the place. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
So anyway, back up. I would do X, and I would do the cocaine, on the road, just a weekend thing. So I would go back home and live my regular life and not say it.
Yeah.
So then a year, I'd say late 2016, life again, just was whatever. You go back to what you do. I have a very addictive personality. Started doing cocaine. It started off as a half a gram,
Mm-hmm.
and started going up. Ended up being, and it didn't make me think about things. I knew I could make more money. I knew I could be in demand of our production team. I knew that I could be that person that everybody knew. And what was so crazy is my kids knew what was going on, because that was one thing that some of my kids are older because I have a 26-year-old.
Right.
So when they would go out and drink with their friends or go to their friends' houses, I always knew when they would drink or they would do something. And that was the same thing with me. Like if I done even a pain medication that was prescribed to me, I would always tell my kids what was in our body. So in case, God forbid, something happened.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my kids didn't know, and they didn't know to the extent, but they knew what was going on.
Okay.
So anyway, my kids started finding like, I don't shoot up. I never have. I hate fucking needles. So they would find like my boyfriend's like caps in the thing. They would find like certain paraphernalia. And my daughter was pregnant at that time, Pumpkin, my 20-year-old now.
Yeah.
She was pregnant. She was 17 pregnant. She's like, Mama, y'all gotta like chill this shit out. I'm pregnant. I don't want to bring Tinky into this situation. It's cool. What it does, we grew up around it, so it wasn't like a big issue. Similar to myself and my mind. So I kind of like hit it, if that makes sense. Well, up until we got busted in 2019, March of 2019, we got busted in Alabama because me and Gina was fighting on that. My boyfriend and me were fighting. So cops got called to a convenience store, locked us up, whatever, got drug charges. They found a needle in his. Well, in that position, he screamed and said, hey, she's got drugs on her. I had a pipe. And like any drug people do, we had just cooked up cocaine. And we had probably like a 7 to a 14 on us. And I just dumped it into my floorboard. So I thought that would not have the dogs.
Yeah, that's
the dogs
disappeared,
not
right? It doesn't exist anymore.
So they didn't bring the dogs out there. It was kind of weird. So so that really wasn't a wake up call then, honestly. Because when we got a car back, my dope was still in my car. You know what I'm saying? It was all on the floorboard.
Yeah.
So we stayed in Alabama for 3 months because I was considered a flight risk. So I had to stay there. So we finally just said, fuck it. We went home to Georgia. Went home to Georgia with no money because I'd already spent my money on dope. I just spent my money at the casinos, whatever. So I went home. I sold my house, sold all the contents in it for $100,000. Said, okay, I'm going to do better in my life. We're going to do whatever. Because at that time, I was up to 2 to 3 ounces of cocaine a day.
Wow.
We was cooking it.
Wow.
At that point, I was smoking it.
Yeah.
And we ended up staying in a hotel. We stayed in a hotel, waited till the money run out again, had all these dreams. Oh, we're going to do this. We were going to change. We were going to get our life. And we could, at that point, it just became a maintenance, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get it. It's like, it's like you're not even enjoying it anymore, really.
Exactly.
It's like a survival thing.
Yeah. So I would have like a 3.5 sitting on the dresser the next morning so I could be able to even get up. So at that point, we could do it less and less and less because I had less money.
Right.
So I didn't have any other choice. But at that point, it was just like, okay, I was cool. We would get clean for like 4 days, 5 days, 6 days a week, because it was kind of a stupid thing. People, places, and things again. If we would go one exit up, which was like 1.5 miles, or one exit down, 1.5 miles, we wouldn't even think about it or wouldn't even do dope. And that was the most stupidest thing ever. I guess it's a mind thing for me. I don't know. But anyway, so at the point I became that we did recovery, I went through an outpatient service.
Okay.
And I went there for a week, but then I would just go get home. After a week, I would go get home high because people were shooting up in the back. They were doing dope. I had facility people ask me to take drug tests for them. And if you came up for alcohol, they would say it was the hand sanitizer on your hand or the hairspray that the women were using. Stupid, right? So I would just go get high, just fuck it. After 3 weeks, I did it. So this was like back in like October, November of last year, which was 2019. So I just kept doing what I was doing, you know what I'm saying? Doing what I did best, giving our truck to the dope dealer so he would give us dope. You know, like we would get them a hotel room. They would stay in our hotel room with us, you know, whatever. And then we just started being like, okay, we're just going to separate ourselves from everybody. So we
Yeah.
started living in our car because we didn't have really any money. I was pawning. I used to have rings all on my fingers.
Mm-hmm.
You see, there's only one there now.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be dripping in diamonds. Used to be dripping in bracelets. I'd pawn everything, go back and get them. Pawn shoes, pawn wallets. I never stole from anybody. I never hustled anybody. I never panhandled. I always found a way to get my dope, whether for my personal possessions. And I think that people who steal, that's neither here nor there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that wasn't something that we did.
Yeah, if I could, just before because I do want to get into the actual recovery part of this for sure,
Okay.
but to rewind a bit. So you said that, I think you said in 2000, like you had started, getting into meth, and
Yeah,
was there
it was crank back in those days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So was there any, when you were younger, even any drinking, any like smoking weed, or was it just like straight into the meth basically?
No, like my brother-in-law, my sisters sold like weed a lot, but they sold like pills and other drugs, and I was around that. My stepdad was an alcoholic, which to me, my boyfriend still every once in a while will drink wine, and that isn't a trigger for him, So for me, this may sound bad on my part, but alcohol was never like what I would consider an addiction until like I went through recovery, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that
because
was the
I
same
grew up
for me.
around it.
Yeah,
I grew up around it, so it wasn't like my thing. So and then like I know that like even my boyfriend being, clean, drinking wine every once in a while does not make him want to go jump out and do like heroin or cocaine or anything like that. So some people can do it, some people can't. But no, honestly, I wasn't a partier. I had my first kid when I was 14. I was on my own at 14, working 3 jobs. So I guess I never did think about that lifestyle.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And I've got to ask, I mean, you're talking about, because I'm doing some math here, and you're talking about rings and bracelets and shoes, and
this ring right here that I have on my hand still today, I would pawn it for 1,500, and then I have another ring that I can't wear that usually be on this finger that I would pawn for like 800. The only ring I didn't ever pawn was this one because my kids gave it to me because I lost another one. But I mean, I'm talking about like Pandora bracelets.
Yeah,
tens and thousands, probably $100,000 worth of jewelry I sold.
Okay, yeah. I was
for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and trust me, when I was in treatment, we did this assignment, and it was like, we want you to draw what we want you to draw what your addiction looked like. And I just drew the pawn shop because that was basically where I lived. I was at the pawn shop every morning. And but see, I wasn't like you. I would never go get the shit back. I mean, once it was pawned, it was just gone forever.
There was some stuff we wouldn't go back and get. Like I had 2 pinky rings that were about the same, and a Pandora bracelet. I never did worry about it. We got like $400 for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was certain things, but this ring, it was sentimental, so I kind of made sure. And then what was so bad is, one time I pawned rings that my daughter's deceased grandmother had. I pawned them for like $45, but I got them back. So there's certain rings that I almost lost this one. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was in rehab when I almost lost this one.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of people listening and watching can relate to pawning some stuff occasionally. But now you also, I mean, we can't go without mentioning, you mentioned Honey Boo Boo, which premiered in August 2012. I mean, I've just got to ask, like, because I watched, I mean, that just seemed like that had to be, it was life-changing, right? I mean, that just had to be like the craziest thing ever, right?
Yes. We started filming, actually, our very first day of filming was October the 12th, 2011. So I've been doing this for 9 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was life-changing. It started off with Alana doing mall pageants, and we did that Toddlers and Tiaras, and TLC, so they knew something about America. I always tell people, yes, it was life-changing. I saved a lot of money. Actually, when I bought my house was 2 years after Here Comes Honey Boo Boo stopped. And I still had Honey Boo Boo money, even when we started Mama Jean from Not to Hot, because I've been very frugal with my money.
Yeah.
But trust me, cocaine is not a poor man's drug.
No, it's not.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it was life changing. We always say that we represent the crazy dysfunctional side of America because it's shit that you be doing in your household that you be doing because you sit there like, oh my God, I've done that before. And I guess that's why our fans have supported us in our highs, our lows. When I was going through emotional, because everything that you see, I decided to I wanted my personal life and my TV life to conglide, especially when I met Gina that I'm with now. And all the emotional shit that you've seen unfold with Mama June from Not to Hot in the last couple of seasons, me going to rehab,
right,
following my journey now.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep it very real because we don't have a script and life happens. Yeah. And I want people, if I can touch that one person, to say, okay, I've been there, done that. And you can overcome that outside of my celebrity status. And I can help somebody. I talk to people all the way from Scotland. I've helped a girl. She just got a 30-day chip because during COVID really bad. And she's been literally talking to me for 30 days. She started just going to a mini and now she's got a 30-day chip, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, and that's why I was really excited to have you on, because again, I think that, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but people need to see that recovery is possible. Right. And
yes.
I'll just say, thank you for taking the bullet for me not having to show my life on TV, because I'm glad there weren't cameras around when I was doing what I was doing. That's for sure. But yeah, so in 2017, like you said, you returned to TV for Mama June from Not to Hot, where you made this incredible transformation, right? Like, I mean, absolutely.
300 pounds.
Yeah, 300 pounds, exactly. Like jaw dropping. And I did want to ask, so I watched a clip that was recorded where you're going through an intake process at a rehab facility. I know you remember this. I'm not telling you anything new here.
Okay.
And there's like a million questions that they're asking you. And, you were very honest, you were very honest and open. And you were describing like how much money you were spending a day, that, like you said, your habit was like
$3,000 to $4,000 a day.
Yeah, like $3,000 or $4,000 a day. And so then when this guy, the counselor doing the intake, he asks you, do you feel like this has been affecting your job at all? And you say, no, I really don't think it is. And then a producer off screen says,
Mariah Herstry.
Okay. Yeah. So Mariah says, hey, June, like, remember, that's kind of why you haven't been on the show. So I guess what I want to ask is having been sober for a little while now, and I want to ask you about your process getting into it and everything, but do you look at that a little bit differently? I'll just tell you that when I watched it, I thought about myself. And I was thinking, I think I would have liked to have been able to look back and see like this lie that I'm telling, because because that was me. I was saying, man, it's not a problem. It's not, even though things are crazy.
A functioning addict.
Yeah. So thinking back on that, or looking back on that moment, like what kind of goes through your head about that? I'm kind of curious.
For a long time, yes, I was able to function at a normal, and do production, because when we got busted in 2019, the world was shocked. My producers knew what was going on, but they didn't. They kind of like brushed it up underneath the rug. And until it came to light in the media, that's when they were like, oh no. They touched you with a plague.
Right.
But towards the end of that filming, there's an episode where the Club 10, I was supposed to do an appearance for this gay. And I'm kind of in and out of it. I don't really remember that, to be honest with you. I was rushed to the hospital for real. I was in the hospital about 10 days after that. I don't really remember that experience. I do remember the emotional toll, but also in the same boat, me and my boyfriend were going through a lot of stuff in our relationship. So really kind of like the drugs enhance my emotional. So I do say towards the end, yes. Now we've started back up production and I'm part of this season 5. I'm coming back in 2021. But due to COVID, we've been not filming that as much as I would like.
Yeah.
But you kind of go back to your old hustle, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I've just went back to my old hustle of just making money any way we can, you know, not meaning selling drugs, but
Sure,
just
sure.
the hustle of knowing that you've got to make ends meet no matter what, because that money could be gone in an instant.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to rewind here. You get into treatment. And then, because I think at one point you had gone into treatment and you left, right? So you get into treatment.
12 hours. I was actually pushed by our production team because they were like, if you don't go, we're going to call defects, which they actually did still call defects on my, whatever. I left within 12 hours. I was pushed. I wasn't ready.
Sure.
I honestly believe that if you're not ready, you're going to leave. I believe that's why a lot of people aren't successful in treatment.
I agree.
I just wasn't ready. So it was kind of funny. It's not funny now, but it was at the time.
Right.
But
so you get into treatment again, and then like what's different this time around? Like explain that to me.
I was still reluctant to go into Banyan. We was actually sitting at a trucker's chapel. I mean, at a truck stop, and this is how it got me into treatment. We was actually sitting at a trucker's chapel. We had been in our truck, flew in for 3 days. You'd wake up every morning, you see this big old cross and see the trucker chapels at these like truck stops. And, you know, it was just kind of like, you know, whatever, you know, like it was just kind of like I was sobering up, you know what I mean? My boyfriend, he was the one that actually mentioned about us going into treatment. I was so against it because I thought that he wanted me to go into inpatient treatment because I was always against it.
Yeah.
And just to get rid of me. So he was like, no. If we can't go in together, I don't want to do it. I don't, you know what I'm saying? He wanted me to feel comfortable. A lot of people don't know that I'm blind. I don't like new places. And that's literally true. I'm totally blind in this eye. 5% only left in this eye. And so I said, okay. So we got a hold of our producers, told them that we decided to go into treatment. We had a treatment facility. They put it there. We had to wait a couple days, and if that it would have been even one more day more, I would have told Banyan to fuck off. Sorry if you can't cuss. Sorry, screw off.
We'll allow it. We'll allow it.
Okay. But anyway, I knew that I had $15,000 coming any day now, and I knew that if Banyan would have waited one more day,
it's gone.
I would have told him to off for a couple days, got high as shit.
Yeah.
But I didn't. We got on a plane from Georgia to West Palm. Then we went to Stewart, February of this year, February 1st, and we stayed there 25 days. We just needed some clean time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
We worked the program, but as I feel a lot of people, sometimes they get complacent in treatment facilities also. And that's kind of where we was at. We felt complacent. We knew that we had enough information and we felt confident within ourselves that we could do it. And we wanted to show everybody that we could do it now that we've had clean time and stuff. So after 25 days, we were dismissed. We completed the program. We didn't go AMA. I stopped a lot of people from going AMA though. And I realized at that point that I wanted to do it. I think the thing that made me stay in the treatment, honestly, is the people at Banyan. They're so loving, so caring. So even after we've left, they constantly are calling. I've actually been able to go back into the same facility I went into probably like 6 times now in the last 10 months just to speak. As an alumni, I went to the Banyan in Boca Raton. We've got about 5 people so far into Banyan.
Yeah.
I've lost a friend that was actually my boyfriend's roommate there that actually was still working the program, going to a halfway house, doing really good, had been clean for about 5 months, and Father's Day hit. He couldn't see his daughter in Ohio. A lot of shit was going on. He said, F the program. Nobody could find him. He tried to do the same amount of dope he was doing before and overdosed and passed away. Jeez. So now I leave my Instagram open. I love giving back to people. I know that Sober Life has been out there for a while, but we have did our own Sober Life thing. I've teamed up with people like yourself. I've teamed up with Banyan. Brandon Novak, a couple other people that I associate with that is celebrity and non-celebrity. Like I said, I talk to people from all over from Scotland, and I love it.
Yeah.
As you can see, I have my sober life. This has sober life, and on the back it has serenity prayer, and then on the arm it has my sober date.
That's awesome.
I tell people that all the time. You can do it. And those people who are struggling with addiction, I guess I'm very lucky because out of our February, what I call our February gang, we all came in the same time. We always
Okay.
left at the same time. And out of 50 people in our February gang, as I like to call it, there's only 4 of us that have stayed sober, no relapses during this crazy ass COVID virus, and are still saying that, hey, I'm still clean and sober. And my one thing to tell people is you can't, this is something that one of the techs told me at Banyan, and he's still very part of our life today. You can't prove 10 years. You can't even prove 3 months or 30 days. You can only prove 24 hours. So if you can wake up and say, hey, today I'm going to stay clean these next 24 hours, those 24 hours will start adding up to days, to weeks, to months. And if you can prove to somebody you're 24 hours clean, that's all you need to worry about.
Yeah.
Not worrying about if you're 15 years or 20 years clean.
Yeah.
Or even
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. I recall, and just so awesome that you've really decided to do this deal. I recall from the treatment center I went to, we had a couple deaths within like the first few months. And this was several years, almost 8 years back now. But so yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's like the things you've been describing. That's how this works. I'm really hoping that's starting to change, and it's great to hear that you had a really good experience in the treatment center that you went to. And I'd like to think that that's the type of support that most people are going to get when they're, like you said, when they're ready for the treatment, because I had heard a lot of this stuff before. I had done outpatient treatment, and I would go, I would get the medication that would just make me feel well, and then I'd get the hell out of there.
Exactly.
I just wasn't ready for it. So, I want to ask, I mean, you'll be coming up on 10 months sober, like you said, pretty soon here. What do you feel like maybe some of the bigger things that you've really struggled with early on have been, and maybe this is more for the people that are early on in sobriety themselves, because I know they'd like to hear just how you've worked through some of this stuff.
I mean, honestly, when I came out of treatment, the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of money. I knew that I needed to get my jewelry out of pawn. I know there were certain things that I wanted to do. I knew I needed to go back home and take care of some issues. And I knew I just didn't have the money. So I went back to those, good old habits of just hustling money, making money, working a job, whatever, and not making tons of money. I've been able to, the relationship with my kids, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing that I struggled with, being able to reconnect with them and show them what I was doing in my program. And I guess kind of just showing my fans and people, because my circle is small and because there has been so much support from the fans, I wanted to show them. But honestly, my biggest struggle is when the pandemic hit, we were trying to get into a place and had to go back to living in a hotel. So that triggered, not triggered, but made me remember all the days being in a hotel and being fucked up and being high and sitting in front of that mirror for days upon days and getting what they call stuck. So it was like, I just wanted to get out of that hotel and get into our own place. We now have a place, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo out here on Hutchinson Island in Jensen Beach, Florida. I'm actually moving into a new place. Our car broke down. I don't have a lot of money still today. This has been 10 months later, just trying to build my brand back up, go back up on top. Yeah. But I was able to get a new car because our car broke down after 7 years and get another new place. So I think that I'm in a good place in life. I think a lot of people, I have a very addictive personality. So my new addiction is rehab work and recovery work. So I've really when I put my mind to something, I really dive into that.
Hmm.
My thing I tell people is if you are struggling, find that one person, whether it be your friend, your family, or somebody even you might have met in rehab that you didn't talk to that much, but you wrote their number down. Look at that book and text that person. That may be the person that saves your life
Hmm.
whenever that call needs to be made that nobody else picks up the phone but that one person.
Yeah.
I really believe in that because we do have a small circle that we still speak to in a group message at least a couple times a week just to check in to make sure everybody's doing good, even if they're not, you know.
Yeah,
I truly
absolutely.
believe that.
Yeah. Well, and I need to mention to our listeners that you actually reached out to us,
Yes.
which I really love because like you said, you don't have years and years yet. Um, only I'm with you. One day at a time. Today is what matters. Absolutely. And what
Mhm.
I feel like is the most important thing, and is done. I mean, I can't even describe how much for my recovery and my life is really thinking about others. And so you were just very adamant, like,
Yes.
hey, if there's anything I can ever do, how much do you think that like having that mindset and that approach of like, hey, I'm gonna carry the message, I'm gonna help others how I can, like, how much do you think that is helping you early on in recovery, and I'm gonna say even maybe helping you not think so much about like all the stuff you used to have, because I know I could get
Yeah,
hooked
yeah.
on that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think 100. I think it has helped me stay accountable. One, because a lot of people reach out to me. I spend 12 to 14 hours a day on my Instagram talking to family that have somebody who's struggling, that's going through it, going through they're trying to get them into help. They don't know how to do it. Trying to help them the best way I can. People who can't go into meetings right now try to reach out to me. Um, and so I think that for me, that has helped out a lot, that people entrust me and have followed my journey, which I didn't realize. And I want to use my platform as much as I can. I'm not perfect by no means. No, I'm not. I'm not, but this sounds mighty crazy. I told the girl, my alumni, that I actually met Alicia with Banyan the very first day I went in. I told her, I said, look, I said, I feel like I'm being greedy. She says, why? I said, because I feel like I'm getting more from somebody I'm talking to than I'm giving to them.
Hmm.
And she says, no, she says, that's the way I feel sometimes. And she's 5 years. Because I can, like, talking to you, I feel high and I'm not doing
I get
anything.
it. Yep.
And it's just talking and being able to open up with somebody is just amazing for me. And it gives me the high that drugs never did be able to give it before.
Hmm. I've got to ask, because look, I'm no TV star. I didn't, have any hit show or anything like that. But what I've definitely come to feel in my own life is that, all these things that I went through, that happened to me, that I did, all these mistakes that I made, that really that I'm grateful for all that stuff because it led me to
Mhm.
where I am now. Have you started to have that type of thinking at all? Like just knowing how many people you're talking to, how many people you could
Mhm.
be helping, and just kind of maybe thinking into the future about, what this all could kind of mean at the end of the day?
Yes, my ultimate goal is I've only got 2 more months and I can go work in a rehab facility. That's my major thing. But I've also one day want to open up a sober living or a sober house.
And you said you've been really open on Instagram, on social
Very.
media. Um, why did you feel it was important to be open about this? I know you said that, like, with the show and with life, you wanted to show everyone, but I think still there might be some people that are on reality TV or whatever that are showing parts of their life, but still might protect this part. Like, why talk about your recovery? Why share that with people?
Because for 9 years we have, like I said, our fans have been at our highs, have been at our lows, back up to our highs, back to our lows, and in between, and they've always been supportive. So we're real.
Hmm.
We are real. We don't try to hide behind silver screens and leave that part of our life. That's why I guess I've showed my recovery journey to everybody.
Now, also prior to our interview, I reached out to our listeners and followers and asked if they had any, sobriety related questions for you. You touched on it earlier, But really the main thing that people were asking, more specifically, some moms
Okay.
were reaching out, kind of mentioning strained relationships with kids, trying to repair some of that. And really
Mhm.
what they were wanting to know about, and again, you mentioned this a second ago, is how your relationship with the girls is now that you're sober. And
Unfortunately, that's something I can't talk about because
okay.
it is going into the show. You have to tune in for 2021 to see all about
I
that.
got, I got to try to extract the goods, right? I got to try to get it out
I'm
of you,
sorry.
right?
I'm sorry, honey bunch. It will cost me a lot of money.
I,
But trust me,
I won't do
moms out
that.
there,
Yeah, I won't mess
moms
with your
out there,
money.
all I can say is I can relate with the strained relationships. It's one day at a time. Some days 1 minute at a time, and it does work its way out. But it just takes a little bit of time, and you have to work on their time level.
Yeah.
Since because they was working on your time level and your addiction, so now in your sobriety, you got to work on the kids and families' time level. That's
Hmm.
all I can tell about that.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. That makes sense to me. Now,
Yeah.
you mentioned we've talked about you just trying to get back as much as possible. Can you tell us a little bit specifically about what your recovery looks like today? Like what are you doing on a daily basis, like for your recovery? What does that look like?
Daily basis, I wake up. This may sound crazy because it like helps my recovery more than you would ever know. But my first thing is I'll say good morning, I love you to my boyfriend. I'll be like, damn, I could wake up and not have to worry about the drug. Two, my second, about the third time I do after you're doing what you do after you wake up is I hit my phone. Literally, I'm on Instagram, um, seeing who needs my help, and
Mm,
that is me being. I always say that I was selfish in my addiction, but I'm also selfish in my recovery because giving back to someone else gives so much more to myself that I'm giving to anybody out there.
mm, yeah.
And that's what I mean. For me, being able to help somebody else is helping my recovery.
Yeah, yeah. I was told early on that it's not a selfish program, it's a self
Yes.
program, and I think what you just described fits with that. I want to ask you before we wrap up. I think you've given a few great pieces of advice, but if there's maybe a piece of advice that you'd like to share with the sober nation, maybe for someone that's new out there, someone that's listening to this and struggling, someone that really can relate to the story that you told, and is just maybe needing some words of wisdom from someone that's been through it. Is there any advice
Mhm.
you'd like to share for them?
Just like I said before, one day at a time, you can only wake up and say, hey, this 24 hours, I'm going to stay clean. Um, reach out to that one person that you know that's not going to judge you. May not be your family, may not be your friends, maybe somebody you went to rehab with, maybe somebody you met after you went. And just know that you are you. And if you don't want to change yourself, you're the only person is able to change yourself, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And during this amid of the COVID virus, try to do things that you love to do before your addiction or that you would like to start doing, because I think that is where a lot of people are struggling with right now with the COVID,
Yeah.
being indoors and not being able to give back as much as you can in your recovery. I think that's a huge thing for myself. As much as I can give back, I love to. Um, and just live every day to the fullest and know that you're clean for today. And today, you know what I'm saying? I woke up clean. I'm going to bed clean.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's all great advice. And I really like what you mentioned about finding passions, right? Whether they're old passions or something new that you want to do. Um, yeah, because I think that fits into what I wanted out of sobriety, and that's really to be able to enjoy life, right? And
Mhm.
have a happy life. Well, that's great advice, June. I just want to wish you the best in your recovery. And I thank you so much for coming on the show. You can connect with June on Instagram at Mama June. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Be sure to check out the show notes for all the info from today's episode. Sober Nation FM is brought to you by Sobriety Engine. Sobriety Engine is a free online community of men and women supporting each other in their recovery. Visit sobrietyengine.com to join today. This show is also brought to you by Recover Health. If you're ready to get fit and start living a healthier lifestyle while supporting your sobriety, you can learn more about having me as your own personal fitness and nutrition coach at rcvrhealth.com. And again, whether you're listening to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watching on YouTube, please share this with your friends, follow, subscribe, and leave us a review. Nation, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.